And this was one of the challenges they were speaking out, that the compute is more cumbersome, more costly, requires more capacity because they deal with millions of images. Unlike some other data, like agriculture data, there is some images, of course, of particularly pests, etc., but not too much of visual data. So how do you make compute available, compute capacity available? How do you subsidize the cost of compute? So for startups in particular who are in health, of course there are large companies, hospitals, healthcare institutions who are doing AI related work. But if there are startups here, I can tell this to them, that we have made arrangements with CDAC to give subsidized compute infrastructure for them. A100s which are available with CDAC have been made accessible to us at a very, very discounted price. In fact, the first few hours, I think about 1,000 hours of usage is absolutely free, and thereafter you pay a very subsidized rate. And some of you may be aware, in the AI city that we are setting up near the airport in the 4th city, a separate enclave has been set up only for infrastructure, and we are in discussions with the providers to fast track that infrastructure. Sometimes it becomes a chicken and egg issue, that I will put the infrastructure, but where are the users? But we have impressed upon them that supply will create its own demand. You supply the infrastructure first, and I'm 100% sure that hundreds of people will flock to that area to use that infrastructure. As some of you would know, lots of hyperscalers are setting up data centers here in Hyderabad. We have become the data center capital of the country. And of late, particularly in the last 1 year, 1.5 years, the data centers who are coming to Hyderabad, we are demanding from them, not even requesting or asking or suggesting. We are actually demanding from them. The response is quite positive. I mean, I had anticipated that there will be some pushback, but all the companies that we have spoken to, all the hyperscalers that we have spoken to, they're quite okay to cooperate with the state government and make data center, AI-enabled data center facilities also available to our people, particularly those who are working in the healthcare area. So that is another good thing to keep a note of. And as and when you have some requirements, feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be happy to connect you with those kind of hyperscalers. The third area in which then a couple of months ago is regarding POCs. As we know, healthcare solutions have tremendous impact. I mean, it is a matter of life and death also for many, many people. And therefore, testing in the form of POC is very essential. Unless your solution is tried and tested and validated, it will be difficult for a government or a hospital or anyone else for that matter to scale it up. Now, again, it becomes a complication for startups. Where do I do this POC? So I'm very happy to share with you. I'm not sure if my colleague Bhavesh was here earlier in the day, whether he spoke or not. He was working on this, but even if he did not speak about it, I can tell you the end conclusion is that we have got a green signal from the health department. We can use any government health institution in Hyderabad or in Telangana to run POCs, and it is the process also has been made very, very simple, very easy to implement. So again, if you are at that stage where you are ready to try out your solution and you are keen to do it in Hyderabad, and whatever is the patient segment that you are looking at. If you are looking at tuberculosis patients, we will give you access to the tuberculosis hospital. If you are looking at cancer patients or whatever is the segment of patients that you are looking at, we will be able to help you reach out to them and run your POCs, etc. And finally, the other important issue of funding, financing, which also, of course, not every startup is struggling with funds, etc., but possibly early stage startups are having some issue. So I'm happy to share with you, this was an idea with which we were kind of discussing and debating and trying to work it out since almost 7-8 years now. But I'm happy to share with you that in the coming budget, as you know, the state government's financial year starts from 1st of April. The next budget will be the budget of the financial year 25-26, 2025-2026. In this budget, we are providing for a fund of funds. We are creating a fund of funds, and of course, T-Hub will be administering it on our behalf, but there will be a funding office, and we have taken an in-principle decision internal decision that majority of this will go to AI-based startups, and within that also we will try to create a separate funnel or a separate window for those who are working in healthcare, because we know that AI work is happening in other Indian cities also, but life sciences and healthcare has been our strength for decades altogether. All of us know what are the strengths of Hyderabad in pharmaceuticals, in biotechnology, in research, in healthcare, in health tech, in med tech, in GCCs, in life sciences, etc., etc. So we should play on our strengths, and therefore we should become the capital for AI in healthcare. And therefore, whatever funding is available, that a majority of that or a large part of that must go to startups which are in healthcare. So these are some of the things of practical relevance, practical usage, and instead of giving some general speech praising AI or speaking about hypothetically what AI can do for healthcare, etc., I thought I'll share some stuff which will be of use to you, whether you are a startup or a representing a VC or an investor or an ecosystem player. These are the ways in which the government is coming forward. But as I said, this is not the end of it. If you have some more suggestions, if you have some ideas, if you have seen governments elsewhere in the world supporting innovation, entrepreneurship, startups in any other way also, we'll be very happy to listen to you, because from day one onwards in Telangana, our approach in government and in policy making is that it should be demand driven. So if you tell us this is the demand, we'll be happy to respond to you. And I mean, this is a nice coincidence that we are having this event under the roof of, I mean, this is not the roof, I don't know what is it called, atrium, is it? What do you call it? I mean, it's open-ended, so can't be a roof. But whatever it is, the courtyard or whatever it is, we are having this event in the courtyard of T-Hub. T-Hub itself is a intervention which the government made as a response to a demand from startups that in Hyderabad area, we don't have affordable space to come and sit and work. So 10 years ago, that was the thinking, that let us provide space to startups, let us build something huge. Of course, today we know that space is, of course, there. Not that there is no space, but much more value add happens than just space. But this is an example that government, without batting an eyelid, committed 500 crores just because there was a demand for it. So that is the orientation, that is the mindset, that if there is some demand, we'll be very happy to respond to it. So do keep us updated, alerted, informed of what is the trend on AI in healthcare. And if you feel that Hyderabad is missing out on something, lacking something, we'll be very, very fast and agile in responding to you. So thank you once again for inviting me. I know that I'm not the scheduled speaker at this time. There is a panel which was scheduled. Some of the panelists are looking at their watches impatiently. I see Resham looking at her watch impatiently. Maybe you are a panelist, I don't know. But whatever it is, thank you for being flexible. Thank you for accommodating me here, because I have to go to some other event in Banjara Hills. But good wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jayesh Garu, for sharing the vision of Government of Telangana with us. I request you to stay back onto the stage. I request you to stay back on the stage to felicitate our ecosystem partners who are driving the innovation in healthcare and AI. I would like to invite the remaining ecosystem partners who have contributed majorly when it comes to healthcare and AI innovation. I would like to invite Mr. Ramakrishna from University of Hyderabad for being the healthcare, I'm sorry. To invite Ms. Ritika from Atal Incubation Center, CCMB, for receiving the enduring excellence in biological. Serene, CEO of IKP Knowledge Park, to come on to the dais to receive the Frontier Innovation Excellence recognition. Krishna Garu and Ritika to come back onto the stage for a group picture along with Jayesh Ranjan Garu. One more request to felicitate our startups. So today morning we have conducted the flagship event of AIinHealthcare Summit, the Pitch Games 2.0, where 21 AIinHealthcare startups have pitched to 10 plus investors and angels with an audience of 220 participants of the summit. This has been the only platform where the startups had the same simulation as a Shark Tank simulation, where they got the opportunity to interact live with all the investors, get their valuable feedback, and go back and improve their business models and also explore funding opportunities with these investors. So of the 21 startups, we have top 3 winners, and I would like to invite the founders of these startups onto the stage. The first winner is Metaloga. I would like to invite Mr. Sunil Golla, the founder of Metaloga, onto the dais to receive his award. Akhila, founder of Oxidius, the second awardee for the Pitch Games 2.0. Mr. Vaibhav Ram, founder of Setvi. Sujit Jagirdar, CEO of T-Hub, Fani Kondepudi, Chief Delivery Officer of T-Hub, Srinivas Taluka Garu, VP Facilities, Rahul Peth, CEO of Math, Anirudh Reddy, Head of Operations, and Mr. Suresh, Head of Technology, onto the dais to join Jayesh Garu. So much for joining us today. Now we are moving on to the most exciting discussion of this evening. We have a panel discussion that is following now on unveiling diverse AI applications in healthcare. As we continue to explore AI's transformative role in healthcare, we now move towards this discussion that is going to explore the diverse AI applications in healthcare. AI is no longer just a futuristic concept. It is actively shaping diagnostics, treatment planning, drug discovery, patient engagement, and operational efficiencies. We are honored to have an esteemed panel of experts here today with us who bring deep industry knowledge and hands-on experience in leveraging AI to drive real-world impact. Moderating this panel discussion, we have Mr. Ramesh Jakka, CEO of Capsico Health. CEO of Capsico Health, a seasoned leader with expertise in healthcare technology solutions and AI-driven transformation. Joining him on the panel, we have Dr. Ambud Chaturvedi, Director, Professional Education at Johnson & Johnson MedTech India. He specializes in advancing AI-driven medical education technology adoption in healthcare. Mr. Divya Prakash Joshi, VP Engineering and Board Member at MEIC Medtronic, a key innovator in medical technology and AI integration for enhanced patient care. Joining them, Mr. Naveen Gullapalli, Managing Director of Amgen India, a leader in pharmaceutical innovation, focusing on how AI is reshaping drug development and precision medicine. Finally, we have Ms. Anu Acharya, CEO of Map My Genome, a pioneer in genomics and AI-powered personalized healthcare treatment, driving advancements in predictive and preventive healthcare. I request all our panelists to join on the stage. Mr. Ramesh, over to you now.
Thank you, Srinidhi. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Sujit. Thank you for inviting us to be part of this amazing conference. And I have to speak a little louder. Can you hear me now? Perfect. I have an amazing panel. It's fantastic to see such an amazing background for each of the leaders here. And given that we are running out of time, we're going to keep this panel about to 50 minutes. And I'm going to start introducing the panelists one by one. So let me begin by mentioning that, clearly there's a lot of interesting applications in AI. And I'd like to obviously start talking about how these applications are going to have an impact. Clearly, we'd love to hear from the leaders, and I'm also going to be joining them very shortly. But I wanted to, first of all, thank you all for coming. And we will begin with the first speaker, Commander Divyaprakash Joshi. He's the Vice President of Engineering at Medtronic. He's also part of the Global Technology Innovation. He has an amazing background. I'd love for him to spend 5 minutes to talk about his background, his experience, and why AI, and how he's actually beginning to see the value within Medtronic. Divya, you want to begin first?
No, thank you. So, I lead the India Innovation Center, and Medtronic is the largest medtech company, and the center in Hyderabad is the largest innovation center of Medtronic outside the US. Been in Hyderabad for 13 plus years, and the focus has been in terms of accelerating innovation, working across various portfolios in neuroscience, cardiovascular, diabetes, and medical surgical, which includes robotic surgery. My background, 14 years in health tech, 21 years in missile technology, in naval operations, prior work in oil exploration and fertilizers. So glad to be part of Hyderabad. Last 20 plus years I've been in Hyderabad. I'm based out of Minneapolis, reporting into the Chief Technology Officer. So from a perspective of AI, in Medtronic, we have got an AI Center of Excellence. We got a Chief AI Officer working across various portfolios. And what I would say, as we start accelerating innovation to make positive impact to patient outcomes, AI is really creating a value in terms of predictive analytics, in terms of really looking at, as we get clearances on some of our products, trying to deliver therapies for various diseases like, I would say, inpatient monitoring, robotic surgery, or looking at polyps from colonoscopy. The data, including the questions on data bias, data security, in terms of data sets availability, sharing of data across boundaries, getting into compliance from a regulatory perspective. So there is clearly I would say, from technology innovation in terms of making, some of the clinical workflow processes so that the clinicians or the key opinion leaders really get data. We are looking at platforms when we are trying to do planning for, using imaging and navigation. Really, AI is creating a value. Some of the algorithms from the Medtronic, like acurarrhythmia, and for the GI Genius, looking at, the pill you take it and it gets all the data, and the clinician is able to make those decisions. So decision support system, machine learning, really. So the only challenge I would say is, how do you scale the AI? How do you train the folks? And I'm very glad to say that Mr. Jayesh Ranjan Garu, few weeks back we met at IIIT, and there is a clear focus of the government of Telangana. And from a Medtronic perspective, the center is working on a lot of technologies, but also enhancement of productivity in terms of looking at customer feedback on a lot of pacemakers data on the cloud, etc. So I think I'll cut it short.
Thank you, Commander Divya. I think this is fantastic to hear. Let me go to Naveen. So Naveen is the managing director at Amgen. He does a range of things, everything from strategy to business development to engineering and so on and so forth. You have a very interesting background. You've also part of NASCOM activities and other things. Love to hear your journey, why AI, and how do you see value within Amgen?
Yeah, thanks, Ramesh. And hello, everyone. Good evening. So this is Naveen. I'm with Amgen as the managing director of Amgen India. Now, Amgen India is the technology and innovation center for Amgen. Prior to this, as I say, I'm a native Hyderabadi. I've been here for a long time. I was with Novartis building up the capability that you see across for over 13 years. Been part of this ecosystem where we've been able to leverage all the capabilities that India brings to global corporations. At the same time, the transformation on digital and disruption is happening. So there's a lot of convergence here with possibilities, right? So with Amgen, AI is fundamental now. Amgen for the last 40 years has been a biotech leader. The recombinant DNA was discovered by Amgen that has changed the care for several diseases, difficult disease. So Amgen has got innovation in its DNA, and we call this a hinge moment where biotechnology and technology are intersecting. And I think we are well poised to leverage that. So everything from basic discovery, research, development, commercial, manufacturing, and operations, we have AI in play. And for us, the opportunity is to improve, develop, and scale them. I can talk more about these projects as we continue the panel discussion, but it's really an exciting time to be here in this era of massive productivity and efficiency, speed, and the possibility to cure and treat many, many more disease for many, many more patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Naveen. I'm going to now go to the side of the panel. Anu, you've been a leader in the genomic space. You've been a leader in really bringing also women and science together, which I think is fascinating and fantastic. You've been driving your business quite a bit over the last 20 plus years. You said that. I know that you've been getting more and more into precision medicine, which I believe is sort of the natural pathway as you begin to get genomics data sets. So I'd love to hear your life story, why AI, and where do you see the value over the next few years? Sure. And of course, 5-6 minutes.
So I was born in Rajasthan, so my genes are primarily from Rajasthan, a little bit from France and Central Asia. That shows where my ancestors came from. But my epigenome was, basically in Bengal and in Telangana for the last 23 years. So I think that sort of has shaped me. I've been in the genomic space for 25 years now, pretty much since the start of the Human Genome Project. And today we are at a point where we are able to say that what happened earlier in terms of what we did over the first 12 years of my life as an entrepreneur, which was primarily to work with pharmaceutical, biotech, and other companies, it was all in research, but also the early phases of where you were doing a lot of these genomic submissions to the US FDA. So we were helping the pharma companies in some of those to understand which population was actually responding to a drug, which was not responding to a drug, and so on. But we also had in the beginning, I think, a lot of databases to help understand genetics, gene expression, and so on for not just individuals, but also for drugs. So this was a little bit of the background. Then in 2013, we started Map My Genome because I felt that a lot of this technology could be of great use for the average person. And by the average person, I mean not just people who have a genetic disorder, but somebody who's healthy, because you can actually provide health care when you are healthy. I think then you provide sick care, right? So the idea was that if we can help people identify their predispositions, if we can help them through with lifestyle changes, that could help in keeping the population healthy. So that's how we started. And we said, if you look at an average genome, and all of us were using machine learning to sort of understand and create these risk predictions. I think they're trying to compete with me on speaking. But if you look at what we were doing, I think anybody in genomics was using machine learning for a long period of time, because you can't do that without using machine learning. But now came a point where you're starting to understand that there is a role that you have the genome, you have the epigenome, you have your microbiome, you have devices like I'm wearing. So you're getting a lot of data for one individual. And health is not an on and off switch. There are lots of pieces that come to that. And I think that's where the most value is. How do you combine all this information for an average person and make it simple enough so that a person doesn't have to think about all the details that we would as a company go through. So I think that's what my interests are. And right now what we are doing is we have like a health coach, which is sort of your AI coach. We combine, you can upload your blood data onto that. You can upload your genetics information onto that. You can upload your epigenetic and your microbiome. And the idea is to simplify this whole process. And so we use a lot of AI in putting these together. But we also have used AI for creating resources for the healthcare educators, your healthcare physicians, and everyone else, because people need to know what is, if they're looking at a particular microbiome thing, or they're looking at a particular gene, they need to understand what is there. So we're trying to make a lot of that available for the end users. And we are also using it in the clinical space. So we have, for instance, a CAP accredited lab. We provide solutions to physicians, but how do you use that information to combine it with other pieces of information that might be relevant for them? So I think it's pretty much a glue that puts a lot of the parts of our journey together. And I think it will continue to, as we have much more information in terms of how do you connect with end users, how do you talk to them on a real-time basis, and so on.
Thank you, Anu. That was fantastic. I'd love to introduce Dr. Ambuj Chaturvedi. He's the Director of Professional Education at Johnson & Johnson and also MedTech India. He's got an amazing background. He's a surgeon and an MBA and a lot of interest in education and training. He's got a very tough job of training surgeons. It's not easy to train surgeons. He's going to talk a little bit about himself, about why AI, and what kind of value are you seeing. And of course, there's more questions coming afterwards. Go ahead, Dr. Ambuj.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ramesh. And thank you so much, T-Hub and Math team, for inviting me for this panel discussion. I've been in the Hyderabad ecosystem for the last 8 years, 9 years actually. It's a beautiful evening. I see a lot of my old friends. By old, I don't mean age. Just the number of years that I know you. And it's fantastic to actually interact with all of you. About my background, yes, I'm a surgeon. My last clinical stint was as the head of neurotrauma at Fortis as a neurosurgeon. 7 years of clinical practice, and then after that I decided to move on to the dark side, the corporate world. So did my MBA, 15 years of corporate experience, started off my stint with Johnson & Johnson. I was a campus hire. And then post that I moved into multiple companies across in the medtech world. So I moved into erstwhile Covidien. Then Covidien got acquired by Medtronic, so I moved into Medtronic. Then from there I moved into R&D, where I had the opportunity to report into Commander. And I love it when I'm sharing the stage with him today. Post that I had a stint with IKP as well, IKP Knowledge Park. Fantastic stint. In fact, that was a stint that actually got me in connection with the entire Hyderabad startup ecosystem and the innovation ecosystem. Was part of the T-Hub when it was being set up about 9 years back at that time in IIIT, and then they moved here. Was initially mentoring startups at that time. And fantastic experience. Mentoring, chhodiyeh, the amount of learning that I got from all of you entrepreneurs, and I see a lot of you growing over the age, over the last so many years, it's fantastic. So you are more of an inspiration to me than I would ever have mentored you. And post that, J&J called me back. They said, "Bahut ho gaya, wapas aa jao." And so there I am, here I am in J&J. It's been last 2 years. I'm part of the management board for JJMI, JJ MedTech India. I also head professional education. What is professional education? So in the medtech world, in the healthcare world, it's a regulated world. So you cannot sell or advertise your devices directly. So what you do is you have a lot of training programs, and then you ensure that your customers, in our case mostly surgeons, get a chance to operate on those devices. This is a compliant method of doing so. And while they do that, they are trained on it. Now, what it means, therefore, is that there's a plethora of work that needs to be done, not only on product training, but also on procedure training. And to give you a sense, we have 108 skills labs across the country. We have 2 Volvo buses, mobile training units. We're going to get into a third one. We have a flagship center in Chennai. We have 11 annexes, 30 partnerships with institutions across the country. Last year, we clocked 53,000 surgeons. So that's the scale at which J&J works in terms of training. And so if you work at that scale, and in a country like India, no wonder you need automation help. And that is where AI comes into play. So that's a brief background about me and my company. More to come, but I pass it on to Ramesh back.
Thank you, Dr. Ambuj. That was fantastic. So just briefly about myself, my name is Ramesh Jaka. I'm the CEO of Capsico Health. We work on precision medicine and large-scale data analysis for treatment response. We're based in California and in Hyderabad. I grew up in Hyderabad, so it's very nice to be back here, and which is why I'm trying to put my foot in here to see if I can be a part of this ecosystem, which is absolutely fantastic. So let me begin by a bunch of questions. I know we have about 35 minutes, so we can respect that time. So I'm going to begin by a few key questions. So we've been talking about AI broadly, AI in specific use cases. But for me, I think, looking at so many events, so many things that have been happening in the last 4 or 5 years, you have predictive AI, you have generative AI, a lot of things coming in. I think AI is really a state of mind. Why? Because we're beginning to rethink and think outside the box that we should change a lot of things. Maybe it's not just about AI, it's about the fact that we want to change things, and maybe that's what's getting us to rethink things. So change is happening everywhere from the way you discover drugs, to the way you actually do simulations, to the way you run your trials, to the way you actually get the drugs to the market, eventually to the patients. So I think, I'm looking at AI as something that makes us think outside the box. So I'm going to ask you these questions about thinking outside the box. So let me begin by, with Naveen. What do you think are the top 3 applications that you see that AI is going to have an impact within your organization? And are you thinking out of the box?
I think so. Thanks, Ramesh. I think that's, discovering medicines is really hard. Finding treatments and cures for disease. The whole world, as of now, maybe we have not even discovered treatments and cures for more than 20% of the known disease, right? It's a very hard process. Takes more than 10 years, more than billions of dollars to bring a medicine to the table. With the earlier model has been to find and test medicines. That's what has taken so much time. You find a molecule that targets a disease and you test for a long time. With AI, it's completely changing to create a molecule, right? With generative biology, you can actually create proteins. Then you can analyze and design them so that you can target disease. Now, can you imagine the power of that? Because you're now able to run millions of experiments virtually without actually testing on real life, right? So it's fundamentally different. And for me, through the whole cycle, so we have AI projects that improve development. We have AI projects that improve our commercial operations, manufacturing. The most exciting is really on the research side, I think. So we have an NVIDIA supercomputer deployed already at there is a subsidiary of Amgen called Decode in Iceland. It's the world's largest human genomics database, I think 300 petabytes. I think you might have worked with Amgen in the past, collaborated, I know. So it is something that it's already happening now. So we are in this space where molecular generation, generative biology is actually in place right now. That's most exciting.
Thank you for that, Naveen. We said top 3. I think you said 2 of them. You have a third one that you want to add in there?
Well, I think certainly it's all about speed as well as efficiency, right? I think access will improve if treatments are more efficient, and AI certainly can bring down the life cycle of patient recruitment, optimize supply chain networks, etc. I would say the whole life cycle is potentially optimized with AI.
Thank you, Naveen. Divya, on your end, so what are the top 3 AI applications you see at Medtronic, and are you thinking out of the box?
Yes, so I would say that The topmost is Medtronic has got so many implantables like a pacemakers and ICD. So there is no dearth of data across the globe available. We do a lot of active monitoring of the data. There are clinician applications, there are patient applications available on an Android or an iOS phones. So we have this data, but what to do with the data? And so, from a Medtronic perspective, when you look at how do you train a model on the data sets, and how do we ensure that the model is being validated, is the topmost thing, so that the clinician can take a faster decision, a more efficient and accurate decision. So I would say, in short, making a positive impact in terms of a patient outcome by the clinician. So how does health tech companies and partners would really make an impact to the patient that it's treated faster? That's number one. Second is in terms of when we're trying to launch products, which is AI-based, the regulators, and I'm talking of CMARC or an FDA, they want to know that the model that you're saying is like a clinical studies you do, right? How do you really say that, Naveen spoke of a molecule. How do you really say that this algorithm is really a validated algorithm, and the decision a clinician is making is based on that validation? And the third is in terms of, we got in Medtronic, a Medtronic GPT. Today I go and type that I want to take a strategy in terms of AI. It gives me guidance. Improving efficiency during, like toxicology, we are talking of customer complaints, and it's more of improving the productivity and efficiency. And the last piece is, there's the fourth one I would say, is in terms of how do you integrate the various data engineering and the analytics into data science. So there is a data scientist, and then there's an analytics and predictive engineering across robotics and patient monitoring. So really, from Medtronic's perspective, I would just say one thing on the top is, how do you partner with ecosystem partners and the partnership with, like Math and T-Hub, but also with IIIT, but globally we are trying to do that. And I also like to, in this, Rahul Peth also worked with me in the organization. So glad to see that where this is, he's taking this. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Divya. Fantastic. Anu, coming back to you, I know you've done a lot of work in genomics. There's a lot more to do there. So in your point of view, what are the top 3 AI applications you're looking at? And also, are you thinking out of the box?
Yes, so the bot was one of the ones I was going to talk about. So the first, which I kind of briefly mentioned in the beginning, was how do you build something that is simplified for people who are generally healthy, who are biohackers and all of that, but how do you make it simple for everybody? And there you're putting multiple pieces of data together, but some people want to dig deeper, right? So you have, some people want it really simple, some people want it a lot of details. So I think what we are trying to do is to say, we'll give a simplified overview, but we'll also give you the ability to say, you dig as deep as you want, so that you can get the information, you can, finally people who are doing things like this are curious, and I think we'll help them solve that curiosity factor by being able to not just give them a simplified score, but also allow them to be able to understand, okay, if it is this gene variant that is causing, or this polymorphism that is causing this, what does this mean? Which part of the chromosome? Where is it? And so on. So I think that was one part of it. The second area, which I think is still largely unexplored, is that of rare diseases. So if you look at rare diseases, and this morning I was speaking to a pediatrician, and he spoke about how it started from one patient to you get to many, many more patients. How do you build that community, right? And I think here, generative AI, for instance, can help in building these communities better. And once you build the communities, then I think you can understand that the number of pharma companies that might be interested in, especially with the newer techniques they are using, will become a lot better. So I think access to that will be better. If you're able to create the communities, knowledge about that can be created in many languages, right? So one of the other challenges today is that if you go, most people will speak only in English, but the larger majority is speaking in other languages, right? Do we have Hindi or Telugu or other such thing? So the first thing we did was we obviously have translations, but I think it's not just about translation, it's about how do you get people to start thinking that make it easy for people to actually give that information, because for rare diseases, you might have patients spread across the world, but they might not be understanding what you are asking them when you talk in English. So I think that you can use AI to sort of bring these pieces together. And the third was more simpler in a current use case that we already use, which is we do genetic counseling for everything that we are doing, right? So for anybody who does a test, we have currently a human who talks to you, gives you a lot of information on what are the next steps, what should you be doing, and so on. But what we also want to do is that it should be something available on demand, right? So that anytime someone needs that information, they can tap into our bot and get that information. It might not be the same as like a counselor telling you, because I think there needs to be a human in the loop. But at the same time, I think sometimes you need that information when you are lying down and you suddenly you feel something, or you want to understand what that is about. So I think these would be some of the use cases that I currently am thinking about, but there are many more.
Thank you, Anu. Dr. Ambuj, the top 3 on your mind, and are you thinking out of the box in the process?
Use cases and applications. You know what, Ramesh, that reminds me of a Forbes article in which there was this face-off between Bill Gates and Elon Musk on AI. And if you go through that, and I mean, you can Google it, you'll find it. So Elon talks about what AI is all about and where you need to caution yourself. Gates is like, doesn't matter. Look at the applications and go for it. So what comes first is something that we can decide later, but now that you have chosen Gates' approach, let's go by applications. The context here is, the larger term is digital technologies, right? Now, there are multiple ways to look at what digital technologies do, but essentially, if you look at from a verbal standpoint, they either demonstrate, or they automate, or they replicate. The automate and replicate wala jo spectrum hai, that is where AI falls. And even within AI, then you have data analytics, and you have Gen AI, then you have Age AI. So there's a host of stuff that you can get into. From an application standpoint, and this is for the larger audience, but specifically for entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs who must be here, there are 4 ways. Aapne 3 mange, aapko ek bonus bhi denge. 3+1. I come from a sales organization, so we'll make it 3+1. The first one is patient support applications. So a typical example of that would be image analytics. So for example, can I get a stroke patient into a point of care within the golden hour? Can I do that? Because the moment I move the needle from 4 hours to 5 hours to 6 hours, the patient's lifespan or the prognosis dips down exponentially, right? So image analytics, and which is where a lot of work has been done right now. And it's been done not just by MedTech, not just by us. It's also done, a big chunk of that is done by big tech as well. Google and all are into it. So, annotating polyps, annotating CT, MRI images, and they've come up with some really good systems. But that is an area which is still open, and I'll tell you where the opportunity is. A lot of imaging analytics has been done. A lot of experience analytics has not been done. What it means is, there is a company, Caliber. You might want to Google it. Caliber works on different products. So one of their products is patient-physician interaction annotation. So just by putting their technology up there, they use video analytics. So the clinical examination that we physicians used to do in our era is now being taken over by machine learning, right? So that's an opportunity. So that's patient care, patient support. Trainer support, application where, again, I cannot divulge entire details from my organization, but what we can say is that there are a couple of areas that we are working on. We're saying, we talked about 53,000 surgeons being trained. I have to evaluate 53,000 surgeons annually, right? I can't do that. I don't have a team. And if I employ faculty, if I employ surgeon faculty, there's a big chunk of that comes on that. And how do I standardize the evaluation? So there are certain startups, which again you might want to, and some of them are based out of India, and they are on our radar, which work on video analytics. So a simple example of suturing skills by a surgeon is now being broken down into steps, into tasks, and is being evaluated, and there's a score coming out of it, so on and so forth. So that's trainer support. physician support. Physician support, an example would be clinical decision support systems. But even here, we need to be a little vary. So there was this experience. ChatGPT came in last year, and 100 million subscribers. ChatGPT was all over the place. So they started applying ChatGPT in every possible scenario. They applied it in clinical decision support, and they failed miserably. And the reason is, ChatGPT is generative AI. So what it does is, it looks at data, but then at the end of the day, it starts building in scenarios, and then it presents it in a particular form. The hit rate or the success rate of that ChatGPT for clinical decision support was 2 to 6%. So then they refined it. They added a retrieval system into it. The moment they put a retrieval system into it, now you have a captive database from which you're taking it up, right? The hit rate went up to 55%. That's chat RWD. You might want to Google that as well. Now, the point here is, so therefore, you have a physician support system in place, but you also will need to apply. So even though you have a generative AI with you, you still have to apply HI, human intelligence, to understand how to work that thing better. And finally, surgeon support. A live example would be, you might want to Google this company, Active Surgical or Active Surgery. They're into a solution. So one of the biggest problems that we used to face as surgeons, and even today, is that when you are dissecting into tissues, the mucosal layer or the epithelial layers, there are vascular, so there are blood, let me simplify this. There are blood vessels inside, and if you cut one of them, it bleeds. When it bleeds, then you either ligate it, you use a suture, or you use an energy system to coagulate it, cauterize it. This company has developed a system, this startup has now developed a system where you can visualize them through a separate visual mechanism. That's an ideal scenario for a surgeon. I already know where the blood vessel is. I'm not going to get into that plane as well. So I think those are 4 applications. So reiterating it out here, applications around physician support, trainer support, and surgeon support. Those would be my areas.
Thank you, Dr. Ambuj. That's actually fantastic. So I hope the entrepreneurs, scientists, students are actually listening to, almost had like a range of, I'd say, maybe 13, 14 interesting scenarios. Please take note, because you have the best minds in here, covering a very broad range from pharma, med devices, genomics, and surgical, education, and so on and so forth. I think there's a world of applications that's going to come out. So I'm going to go back once again to the tougher question. So AI is still in the very early phases. It's in the science phase. There's a lot of testing, running models, doing bias testing, so on and so forth. What do you see as the biggest challenge in adoption? And would that be many years to go? Because we feel like we're in the early science stage. We haven't even gone into the adoption stage properly yet. And I think the next 5 years are going to be driven by adoption. It might fall, or it might actually do really well, even though it's pretty pervasive right now. What are your thoughts on that, especially on the drug discovery side? Whatever you think is the best area for adoption and faster.
Yeah, so we are seeing the AI as an augmentation, human concept and technology and tool that augments human intelligence. So we always see human in the loop. So for example, we file regulatory dossiers to seek approval for our medicines. Earlier, the entire thing used to be done by a human. Now we expect AI to help with that, generation of data. But we don't see a world where AI itself would go and file, right? So we always see humans in the loop, and that actually de-risks a lot of things. Technology is quite powerful. All the data has to be verified, vetted, authenticated, etc., right? Those would be the typical challenges that we're seeing with AI. So I think humans in the loop will solve some of those challenges.
So there's a lot of interest, going back to that, a lot of interest in silico medicine to discover new molecules. So one of the things I've been reading about and also seen some is that you're trying to model a cell, a single cell, using machine learning. Therefore, you can actually run clinical trials, or basically mouse trials, on this simulated cell and not on the real mouse. Do you see that as a game-changing application of AI, or you think it's like many years down the road?
No, I think it's definitely here, right? So that's what I mean, generative biology.
Right.
It means that you're able to design a molecule and adopt it based on the results you're finding on online experiments. So you don't really have to run it on real life. It's here.
Thank you. Divya, what do you think on your end are some of the issues on adoption? I know you talked about Medtronic's, devices, monitoring, and a lot of things that are happening around it, including knowledge you generate. So where do you see the adoption issues? Is it going to be a big challenge the next few years?
So from an analytics perspective, folks who will do that, I think that's not the issue. The major issue I see personally, and I'll not talk from Medtronic because there are more people who are focused on this, but the science, I would say the scientists who understand the disease, who understand the therapy, and really come with those algorithms, which really will make an impact, is definitely a challenge. The other big thing is, how do you scale up people that will understand AI ML, not those 5% or the 3%, but the larger population. And therefore, in terms of people understanding not only as a productivity enhancement tool, but as something that will really improve an outcome. I think, and the last thing I would say is the data set patterns, how do you really value the data? And so I want to adopt, I'm trained, I got the support of the ecosystem, but is my model or the data set, the patterns that we do, the data annotations, the analytics we do, who is buying it? Do surgeons believe it? And I would say, a clinician like Ambuj and other clinicians, are they ready to adopt to the extent that they will go by that algorithm and model, not by their clinical experience?
Right. I think the question that comes to my mind is, I know that you're looking at very advanced monitoring devices for arrhythmia. Would AI help detect the arrhythmia faster, therefore the patient gets care faster? Is that one area that you think is going to be game-changing?
Oh, it's already there. Okay. AccuArrhythmia is already an algorithm which is approved, validated by the FDA. There's another one in terms of, for the polyps, for the colonoscopy, detecting cancers at an early stage. It's already in market, but how many such cases are there? Right. The last thing I would say in robotic surgery, as those surgeries take place, we got a Yugo Robo, it takes place across geographies for across, disease state. From one geography, from one population to the different age groups, so much of data is actually enabling people to take the feedback loop in terms of generating the control algorithms from a technology perspective and not from an application perspective of a clinician.
Thank you, Divya. Anu, on your end, do you see any challenges in how you would use AI for genomic-based precision medicine? Because I think that's a very tough topic, and it's not easy for AI to help identify the right drugs and the right treatments. What are your thoughts on that?
So I think that the first report that you create, that's not using generative AI, it's still using machine learning. So I think we need to, because I think one or two people, when they heard you use AI, they said, oh, you are getting this information from ChatGPT. We said, not really. So I think that there needs to be a distinction between saying, are we using our data sets? First of all, we are creating some reporting, right? That's not using generative AI, it does use machine learning and you give it. The second piece is, how do you use generative AI? I think the value of that will be if you use your own data, right? So some of it will be your own data, others will be from trusted data sources. And so that's an important thing, that you don't just use data that is coming, on just like a Gemini or a ChatGPT, but you have to have your own repositories for it to make most sense. The third is that when you're using AI and you're using generative AI, then you're using it more for issues of where you want to make conversations. So I'll give an example. I think many of you, and I use it extensively, Duolingo, for instance, right? That shows you how to learn for a language. Now, one of the things you find is that in just the last 1 year, the way they have created this whole space, it calls you, it asks you, it remembers a lot of things. I don't think you could have done that if you want to build something like that, like a conversational thing, and you have your own data sets and you're able to do that. You can build something like that for the end user. You could never do that earlier, right? So I'm saying once you have good quality data, once you have a good intent to use it in the right way, which is to say, can you build a conversation? I think that creates a good place of where you are going to use generative AI. The third the other area that I feel that you can use a lot of these would be that you understand that these are for screening mechanisms, right? So a lot of times now people are talking about going into clinics where they are using AI to connect some of these dots, but not all of that might be 100% there, right? So what are you using this information for? If I'm using a CGM, am I using it for what, right? So I think the data sets that are coming in and you're using it, are you using it to create a baseline for a healthy person? That's very different from saying, I'm going to get a surgery done from Ambuj for getting my heart, some problem fixed. Those are two completely different scenarios. So I'm talking about first building trust and capability in saying, for a healthy person, can you use this to connect all the data points? Because it's so difficult to do that otherwise, right? If you are looking at just precision medicine, there is genes, there is drugs, there's food, there is so many pieces. Even a doctor finds it hard to sort of understand. So I think there are certain guidelines. You can get that clear. That's very easy. In a report like Medicamap, we can give them what is there. But I think the harder part is, if I have to connect all the knowledge in the world, can I get a better answer? Or can I at least get a better hypothesis to start off? So I think that's where that value will come in, that you can get a much better hypothesis when you're looking at integration of data. You can get a better baseline for doing screening for healthy individuals, and you can get a good starting point of understanding for much more complex problems.
Dr. Ambuj, you gave some amazing scenarios about how you're actually using AI for education, training professionals within your organization, and also, I'm sure, outside as well. So it looks like your adoption is slightly faster, but I'm sure you have some challenges in adopting it further. I think you mentioned earlier that there is still a lot of work to be done. Can you tell us more about adoption issues you're facing and you're likely to face in the next few years?
Oh, we face a lot of issues. Why else would they pay us? But on a serious note, so there are two issues that we can talk about. One issue is more localized or organization-wide or ecosystem-wise issue, right? The other one is a wider issue that is not only related to organizations or individuals, it's related to the globe, humankind as a race. We'll go to that later, but we'll talk about localized issues first. So adoption is the biggest issue we have. And what do you mean by that? Adoption both externally and internally. So for example, I take a new technology to, look, I sit in an industry where the customer is 99% times more knowledgeable and more accomplished and more educated professional than my salespeople. I mean, I can still talk neck to neck with a doctor, eye to eye with a surgeon, because I am one. But my salespeople, they face challenges. Now, for them to take a new technology out there and then saying, look, we've got this AI-based solution and he's going to grill you. Grill you and drill you. So therefore, adoption externally. See, it's like this. And I don't blame the surgeons completely. I don't blame the physicians or the clinicians completely, not that I'm one. But I'll tell you, the medtech world, or the rather healthcare world, besides having the problem of a highly educated, highly professional customer, you also have the problem of highly regulated environment. This is a highly regulated environment. MedTech is so. I mean, as I told you, we can't even openly advertise our products. I mean, if one of my products, Standy, gets into a hospital, I get notices as a company. Well, I can't do that. It's a highly regulated environment. So in that environment, to get a new technology is more challenging than, say, compared to a consumer industry or the entertainment industry for that matter, right? So that's point number one. So that's the adoption part. Internally, adoption also has issues. Because most of the leaders that we have, now this is not just my org, but this is generally across every org. Most of your business leaders who come up the ranks are people who come on the basis of the what, not the how. Performance tha kya? P&L manage kiya kya? So he or she then starts getting promoted and comes up the ranks. The how gets a little sour deal. I won't say it is completely neglected, but the what definitely matters, right? when you have a person coming up the ranks in the company, in the organization that way, for him the entire incentive will still be performance. So the moment you put a new technology into it, he or she will then say, this doesn't fit my bill in the short term. मुझे अगले quarter में result चाहिए. I can't adopt this technology. This is going to take 3 years. That's the adoption part. Finally, the bigger ecosystem challenge that I see with Gen AI, or for that matter any AI, is adaptation. And there was a beautiful meme. It has like 4 pics. There's one 1800 BC. It shows a chariot. And then 1800, whatever, 1880, 50, whatever, AD, 3600 years later, it still shows a horse carriage. Then it shows the same 1800 horse carriage there, and in 1950 it shows a fighter jet. What it means is, it took 3000 plus years to move from a chariot to a carriage, but it took you just 200 years, or even lesser than that, to move from a carriage to a fighter jet. The point is, technology is increasing is exponentially increasing so fast, developing so fast, and are we evolving as fast? That is where Elon Musk comes. Look, I'm not a big fan, but I'm saying why I'm quoting him is because that is what he says. He says, as a human race, you are facing technology at an unprecedented velocity. Are you able to evolve as fast as it can? And if you can't, there will be issues, and so therefore the solution will have to be guardrails. So those are the points.
Thank you, Dr. Ambuj. I know we have just about a minute because I've been asked to sort of, close the panel as quickly as possible. So Naveen, on your end, what is that one word or one sentence that you want to, say to the audience and us about AI? Please be short.
Well, thank you. AI also means Amgen India for us. And that's because with Amgen, what we said is it's brave new thinking. Let's do things differently for global enterprises, leveraging AI, leveraging digital, and leveraging the high energy demographic of talent that we have here. So Amgen India equals AI for us. Thank you.
That's great.
One word or one sentence?
Yeah, so it is about the train has left the station. When do I catch the flight?
One word or one sentence. We're running out of time.
I think AI is a force whose time has come.
One line, tremendous opportunities, cautious optimism.
Thank you all for a wonderful panel. I think we have some of the brightest minds here. I'm sure you're going to meet with them later on and have a discussion. Lots of scenarios, lots of topics for both startups and all of us involved in trying to promote AI to the next level. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Thank you to your panelists for sharing your insights on the diverse applications in healthcare and how every application is revolutionizing and bringing us closer towards accelerating healthcare delivery to our population. I would like to request all the panelists to stay back on the stage. And I request Rahul Pat, CEO of Math, to come onto the stage to felicitate our panel members. Moderator, Mr. Ramesh Jakka. segment of the evening, we have the privilege of hearing from one of our India's most respected technology leaders who has played a pioneering role in shaping India's innovation and startup ecosystem. It is my honor to invite Dr. BVR Mohan Reddy, founder, chairman, and board member, Scient, and board member of T-Hub, to deliver the T-Hub board address. Welcome on board, sir.
Well, good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to be that long in front of you, not because I can't stand for too long. I'm very delighted that two of my friends' children were on the panel, on the earlier panel this evening. I feel very delighted about it. Both Naveen as well as Anu are children of my friends. But equally delighted that I can stand on my 2 feet and still talk to all of you. Thank you, Matt, for organizing this event. I think what is the requirement of today is that we need to create enormous amount of awareness for what AI can do and what AI is doing at this point of time. I look back at my life. I look back at the best of experiences I've had with AI, not yesterday, day before yesterday. 40 years back, I was driving in a car along with a world-famous computer scientist called Dr. Raj Reddy. Raj and I talked about the autonomous vehicle. And Raj said, Mohan, everything is ready. And I said, then what is stopping from an autonomous vehicle coming in? He said that we require a 15-ton truck carrying the computers and the rest of the equipment to follow the car if the car has to become an autonomous vehicle. Fast forward now, what we see that 15-ton vehicle has gone down to as low as about 1 kilogram of weight. That's the pace of change that we have seen. That's the pace of change we'll continue to see. What are the 4 pillars which made this happen? The first one is computers are becoming faster, cheaper, and smaller. The second one, communications are again becoming faster, and they're getting more and more people and things also connected together. I'm sure several of you are aware that it's not anymore 5.2 or 5.5 billion people who are on the network. Right now there are 21 billion people and things together sitting on the same network talking to each other. And the power of the network is based on the square of the number of nodes that are there. And the third one is the incredible progress that we are seeing with sensors. They become again smaller, cheaper, smarter, dime a dozen, as opposed to hundreds of dollars that we paid at one point of time. And on top of it is the algorithms that are running. These sensors provide oceans of data, and the oceans of data, we are now in a position to put them to use by ensuring that we have algorithms which are nothing but what we all call them as AI or artificial intelligence. It's been several people thought, and I've thought, maybe 40 years back too, that this was a buzzword. It'll never become a reality. Trust me, it's not true any longer. It's a reality at this point of time. It is here and now. All of us are experiencing it. And so is the case of healthcare. We see several examples of the healthcare applications that are there. And what we have seen in the past is more like, streamlining applications, or a chatbot application in front offices. Or certainly, I think, there's some amount of effort going on in drug discovery. Or you've also seen some of the individual genetics, genomic projects that are going on to create individual pathways for drug administration. What do I see as future? Ramesh Jakka asked this question to the panelists about what are the 3 things that he likes to, or they're working on, or they like to see in future. But here are my 3 things. The first and the foremost is that telemedicine has become very popular in this country courtesy, popular in the world itself, courtesy largely with to do with COVID. But in India, it requires a distinctively different approach in terms of doing telemedicine. The doctor on one end has a different language to understand and assimilate as opposed to the patient on the other side. It could be as trivial as even the dialects could be different from each other. So can we think about making sure that we will have telemedicine of a different nature where online, instantaneously, you speak in one language or one dialect, you hear on a different dialect, which is understandable either by the patient or by the doctor. The second one is, certainly I think wearable technologies are going in a big way. I think the panelists could have touched upon it peripherally. But I believe that they will have a profound effect on every one of us. Our ability to understand our own body, our ability to take control of our own system is going to make us different from what we were in the past. It certainly, wearable technologies will empower individuals to take care of their health and take actions which are very proactive rather than go to a doctor and become reactive. A third one is that I thought predictive analytics is something which we are seeing all around the world. The amount of work that's going on, bioinformatics at this point of time, on top of it superimpose AI, and then you are in the position to predict which region, which disease, how well do you cover yourself, irrespective of the genome that you belong to. So therefore, that's just about 3 applications that I brought up. But there are plenty of them, unimaginable number of them. I keep saying human imagination is the only constraint today in terms of understanding how AI can be applied to various challenges that we have. But before you embark on this journey of becoming a successful AI startup, to become successful, let me talk about 3 things which come to my mind. The first and the foremost is that you have to have a patient-first mindset. I think even recently, Dr. Nageshwar Reddy, who is a Padma Vibhushan awardee this year, he also talks about this as the key for his success, the patient centricity. Primarily, your ability to understand the pain the patient goes through, the challenges that the patient has, the ability to empathize with the patient is what I think will make a difference in terms of making you successful in healthcare AI. So therefore, the first mantra I have is, if you want to be very successful, you need to be having that patient-first mindset. The second one is, we certainly think that here is an area which has enormous amount of need for collaboration. It may not be true with many other areas where we work in with AI. We technology products, we're techies. We know what exactly it's required. If you get to BFSI, you probably require a financial analyst. But then here is an instance where you're looking at healthcare. You require several stakeholders who are contributing, who are critical for the success. I think the intersection of medicine and engineering is one of them. I'm sure several of you must have read or heard about this, that about 70% of doctors have an engineering background in the Western world before they became doctors. So their ability to think analytically, to think logically becomes much, much higher. So here, it's just not the doctor and the technologist. You also have a role to play by the policymaker. So therefore, your ability to certainly talk to various stakeholders, is extremely important. I would encourage you to have a dialogue, seek advice, share knowledge, and work together to solve the problems. That's my second mantra. The third one is, be a diligent custodian of data. You are getting enormous amount of data within you. And I think we need to respect the human privacy. People are using data very recklessly at this point of time. I know a number of instances that it's happening at this juncture. As healthcare professionals, as professionals who will work with the patient care, with AI, with this oceans of data that is coming to us, I think it becomes extremely important for us to say we will be very diligent custodian of the data that comes. Overarching, of course, the three mantras that I talked right now is the fact that we talked earlier too, is a change that has come by from a 15-ton truck to about 1.5 kgs of weight that you require at this point of time to drive an autonomous car. And that will become smaller, there's no denying at all. But the change is enormous. Typically when I talk about the change, what comes to my mind is a chart that I saw in the recent past. If you look at AI applications, the first application attempt that was made was in about 1996 to 1997, where they wanted to do handwriting recognition and speech recognition. That was an AI application. It took about 22 to 24 years before the handwriting recognition by computer systems came to a level of 100% efficiency of human beings. What is it today? If you look at ChatGPT, which is comprehension, contextualization of a conversation, it took no more than 18 months to develop that. DeepSeek is saying it's much shorter than that. So this will not stop. It will continue to change. So therefore, A, you need to develop resilience, and B, you need to be adaptable. Because what you think you know best today is not good for you tomorrow. Finally, let me conclude. What do I expect from all of you is that we have enormous amount of challenge in this nation in terms of a number of people who are underserved, especially coming from the rural areas. Healthcare is in dire situation. The patient-doctor ratio in rural India, which is 2/3 of India, is 1 to 10,000. But the norm from the WHO is 1 to 1,000. It's 10x deficiency that we have. No denying, people like us who are here in urban areas, a stone throw away from here, you'll find a number of super specialty hospitals. That's the luxury of a life. But a luxury of life enjoyed by few cannot build a society. Sooner or later, the society will get into trauma and stress. So therefore, it is imperative for us to ensure that we bring in the not so served, or the underserved people into the mainstream. That's the objective, that's the focus, that's the vision you need to have. And by bringing that focus into our vision at this point of time, we will have more challenges in India. Because in rural areas, you do not have the same amount of data as what we have for the machines to learn. So with sparse data, you need to get to same conclusions, which effectively means that your ability to write more intense algorithms, more technology becomes very important. But life certainly is very challenging. So let me conclude by saying, please make sure, as you embark on this challenge of implementing AI in healthcare, no one is left behind in this technology wave. Thank you very much.
Thank you, BVR Mohan Garu, for setting the stage and the vision for Telangana and India for AI and healthcare. I request Mohan Garu to get back onto the stage and for the felicitation. I request Mr. Fani Kondapudi, our CEO. PVR Garu, we will be troubling you again a little bit because now we have the most exciting segment that is going to happen, that is the product launches of math startups. We have 2 startups today who are launching their products on this AIinHealthcare Summit. Our first startup is Oxidius, and their product is Astra AI, the AI clinician assistant. Astra AI is a personal AI assistant for clinicians and medical students designed to enhance clinical decision-making with instant access to evidence-based guidelines, research, and actionable insights. With the ability to process multimodal healthcare data, medical reports, images, voice-to-text instructions, Astra AI creates a signature health profile for each patient, enabling continuous decision support across the visits. Powered by decades of embedded medical knowledge and predictive model training on 20,000 plus diseases, Astra AI delivers accurate, real-time clinical insights. Beyond decision support, it transforms observational research into automated evidence generation, allowing doctors to immortalize their expertise by building custom AI models. Let us look at their product launch video now.
I know. It's unfair that you are expected to access, process, and analyze 100 plus data points within a few seconds. I know it's definitely unfair that you are expected to keep upskilling for the rest of your life. I know it's really unfair that you are expected to be right every time. I know it's completely unfair if 2 minutes is all you get to make decisions that can make all the difference between life and death. You are literally a superhero. Hey doctor, I'm Astra. Every superhero needs a loyal sidekick. We both can discuss about any case you are dealing with, and I will do my best to help you process medical reports and images while remembering everything so that you don't have to. My clinical pathways can adapt to your thought process and assist you in quick decision-making in handling the differential diagnosis of your patients. Ask me anything, related to health, of course, and I will quickly give you a focused answer along with all the guidelines and research article sources in case you want to go deeper. And I think I am definitely better than my know-it-all cousins, as I only study about health and everything else is just a distraction for me. I also come loaded with drug database, clinical calculators, and many other tools and data sets that are at your service, anytime, anywhere. I may be an AI agent, and while I'll never replace the brilliant, intuitive computing power of your mind, I'm here to be your trusted sidekick. Let me just help you do what you do best. That is, caring for your patients.
Congratulations to the Oxidius team for this marvelous launch. Next, we have our second startup, Manage My Startup, AI and RPA-enabled startup ecosystem product. This is a next-gen AI and RPA-powered platform designed to bridge the gap between startups, investors, industry leaders, mentors, and government networks. With a seamless entrepreneurial ecosystem, It provides founders with essential tools, frameworks, funding access, expert guidance, and government schemes supporting their journey from concept to IPO. Positioned at the intersection of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship, Manage My Startup empowers the next gen of founders to build impactful, scalable solutions. Now let us look at their product launch video.
Manage My Startup, an AI-driven platform that allows founders and startups to search for, access, and empowers at every stage, from concept to IPO. The platform connects startups with entire medical, healthcare, pharma, and life science ecosystem, turning ideas into realities in the world of healthcare innovation. Access resources, opportunities, and more than 100,000 recommendations for the successful journey of entrepreneurship. Manage My Startup.
Congratulations to Manage My Startup. Now I request Dr. BVR Mohan Garu and Mr. J. Chaudhary Garu onto the dais to felicitate the founders of both the products. I invite Mr. Pallav of Manage My Startup. Now we continue our evening and take a moment to shine the spotlight on innovation, the incredible AI-driven health tech startups emerging from Math. At Math, we are committed to fostering the next wave of healthcare innovation, empowering startups with cutting-edge AI resources, mentorship, and market access to drive impactful solutions. These startups are tackling real-world healthcare challenges from early disease diagnosis, AI-powered diagnostics, to operational efficiency. Tonight, we present a special showcase, a video highlighting the groundbreaking work of Math health tech startups and their mission to revolutionize healthcare with AI. Let's take a look.
Welcome to the Math, the Machine Learning and AI Technology Hub. As India's leading AIML incubation platform, Math is revolutionizing the startup ecosystem by nurturing innovation and empowering businesses with AI-driven solutions. With its deep network of mentors, investors, and corporate partners, Math has positioned Hyderabad as a global AI innovation hub. For healthcare-focused startups, Math provides a world-class incubator ecosystem that offers AI skill development, computing and cloud access, data infrastructure, market access and corporate engagement, mentorship, and business scaling. From securing funding to gaining corporate traction, Math is redefining AI incubation in the healthcare sector. Let's take a closer look at this transformative event and what it has to offer. The AIinHealthcare Summit 2025 is the ultimate gathering of healthcare pioneers, AI innovators, and industry leaders. This event explores how artificial intelligence is driving precision treatments, early diagnostics, and operational efficiency in the healthcare sector. Meet the disruptors. The AIinHealthcare Summit 2025 features some of the most innovative AI healthcare startups. Manitra Healthcare. With Upbeat, it enables real-time cardiac monitoring, offering doctors valuable heart rhythm insights for better patient care. Twilight IT Professionals. Private Limited, Doctorate empowers behavioral health practitioners to deliver whole-person care with minimal workflow disruption. Set B Global transforms oncology and chronic illness diagnosis with real-time AI-driven imaging analysis, ensuring quicker and more accurate results. AIinHealthcare Cognitive Solutions Private Limited. Their AI-powered platform accelerates disease studies and drug discovery, advancing global biopharma and biotech innovations. Vijamega Private Limited. BI Migrator automates BI infrastructure migration, ensuring seamless transitions, data integrity, and cost efficiency. Meconis AI Solutions. With Mako Plus, the company streamlines appointment scheduling, enhances patient record access, and improves clinical insights for doctors, ensuring seamless healthcare workflows. Salubrity Health, that leverages AI to transform hair health, offering personalized nutrition insights via an innovative food analysis chatbot. Lisa App, providing expert guidance, personalized support, and innovative therapies for timely autism assessments and interventions. Jivica.ai, an intelligent coding assistant streamlining healthcare with precision, compliance, and life-enhancing AI solutions. Hearsight Audio Vision, an AI-powered headband reader that converts text into speech in English and 5 Indian languages, empowering the visually impaired. Thank you to our partners, Government of Telangana, title sponsor Capsico Health, Ecosystem Partner Path, and Rich for your invaluable support and collaboration. Thanks to all the delegates, VCs, and attendees for making the summit a grand success. Your participation and support have been truly invaluable.
Let's give a loud applause to our startup founders and innovators. Now, we move into the most anticipated segment of this evening. We present an exclusive fireside chat on transforming lives through AI and leadership. This discussion will explore how AI is reshaping the future of healthcare, the role of visionary leadership driving this transformation, and how technology and expertise can converge to create life-saving innovations. To lead this engaging conversation, we have a distinguished moderator and 2 of the most renowned experts in the healthcare industry, whose work has been profoundly impactful on surgical innovation, patient care, and medical leadership. Moderating this session, we have Mr. Sujit Jagirdar, CEO of T-Hub, a seasoned leader in technology-driven entrepreneurship and innovation ecosystems, dedicated to fostering AI-driven startups and healthcare solutions. Joining him on the fireside chat, we have Dr. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Padma Shri, and a renowned cardiothoracic minimal access and transplant surgeon at Apollo Hospitals. With decades of experience, he has pioneered advanced cardiac surgeries and minimally invasive procedures, setting new standards in surgical excellence and patient care. And our last but not the least speaker, Dr. Kancharla Ravindranath, founder, chairman, and managing director of Global Hospitals, a visionary leader in healthcare innovation, multi-speciality hospital management, and clinical excellence. His contributions have helped establish world-class healthcare infrastructure that integrates cutting-edge AI-driven medical technologies. Together, we will delve into how AI is revolutionizing surgical precision, enhancing patient recovery, and optimizing hospital operations. Let's welcome our esteemed guests and for this, what promises to be an insightful discussion, and we really look forward to this.
Thank you, Srinidhi, and a very good evening to everyone. First of all, a warm welcome to one of the most distinguished doctors in the country, Dr. Gopal Krishna Gokhale, Padma Shri. A big round of applause for him. Of course, he's a Padma Shri awardee, but he's also cardiothoracic, minimal access, and transplant surgeon from Apollo Hospital. Thank you, Dr. Gokhale, for sparing your time today. Appreciate that. And second, next to me, is Dr. Kancharla Ravindranath. Dr. Ravindranath is the founder, chairman, and managing director for Global Hospitals. Doctor, I know you are the chairman for Laurus Labs as well. Thank you once again for gracing the occasion. Really appreciate. Big round of applause for both the gentlemen. In fact, I was talking to Dr. Gokhale offline. Obviously, he had to finish his surgery quickly and come over. I'm sure he is in safe hands. I mean, the patients are in safe hands. Yeah. So whether you do it, of course, whether do it at 1 hour pace or a 10-minute pace, doctor, and we have seen, at least I've heard all the great work that you have done in the past, and I'm going to tap you with some of the areas that we'll discuss today. In fact, we are talking about transforming lives through innovation, leaderships, and AI, the future of healthcare. While I start with my firing of questions, I want to spend a couple of minutes introducing each of your backgrounds so that the audience here know what exactly have you been working at or doing. Dr. Ravindranath Kancharla is a visionary leader in healthcare, medical education, and innovation. And as I have mentioned, he is a chairman of Global Hospitals as well as Laurus Labs. But what's interesting is that he's an expert in surgical gastroenterology, pardon my medical terminology, and in laparoscopy as well, laparoscopic surgery. And he has, to his credit, he has done about 25,000 laparoscopic surgeries in the country, one of the highest in the country. And what I also understand is he has trained about close to 700 plus surgeons, and that's what we got to know. And the previous panelist was saying how difficult it is to train surgeons. Sir, I mean, we need to understand what was the magic that you were doing to actually train so many surgeons at such a fast pace. Maybe we'll talk about it. Now, quickly about Dr. Gokhale. He is a Padma Shri in 2016. He's a leading cardiothoracic surgeon with over 16,000 open heart surgeries at a success rate of 98.3%. He has performed the first successful heart transplant surgery in AP and Telangana way back in 2004. And he has to his credit performed first simultaneous heart and kidney transplant. There are a few more interesting aspects about their journeys, so I'm going to kick off with Dr. Gokhale. Dr. Gokhale, and I have met you in the past, so I have the benefit of some history about your background. I wanted to understand, how was it, what was your first experience with reference to the heart transplant? You know, the first heart transplant that had happened. The second question and a corollary to that is, there was something unique that happened when the heart was transported through a metro. And it is a tale of a folklore in terms of first time in the world, the heart got transplanted or moved from A to B through our metro in Hyderabad. Can you briefly talk about these two experiences, please?
Thank you very much for inviting me to be here today. It's a very exciting time for me too, because I have been hearing about this T-Hub math for a long time, but I never had the opportunity to interact with any of you here. I know AI is the way to go forward. Otherwise, we'll be left behind, offering what will be called in future a very bad care consistently to the people without improving. Now, regarding your two questions you asked, one is about the first heart transplant, which you did in 2004. First of all, I'm very happy to share this dais with Dr. Ravindranath, because he added fuel to my fire, and he is the one who encouraged me to do the first heart transplant for free at Global Hospital in 2004. Wow. In fact, I had my training in heart transplant in 1990s in Australia. That is the time when I came to see that a common man can get the best care without influence, without money, and from everyone, from the doctor in the hospital to the police on the road to the airlines in the airport, everyone is ready to save one common man's life. And I always felt whether I can ever do this back in our country when I come back. That was a dream I had in 1993. 1992 to 93, I worked in transplants at St. Vincent's Hospital, Sydney. But then when I came back in 1996, we're talking about one of the areas where AI can help things to happen faster is the training of the medical professionals. Let it be nurses or surgeons or physicians. What it takes for about 15 to 20 years can be done in probably 6 months to 1 year. They can come to about 75 to 80% of that stage. I did my cardiac surgery in 1990 to become a surgeon. See, from 1986, I was in cardiac surgery. By that time, I was about 26-year-old, and I spent 10 years before I could do my first surgery. That is 10 years of training in cardiac surgery before I could do independently, which is not right in the present time. So when I went there, saw the transplant, came back in 96, and I had to struggle to establish myself. But that passion, that dream is always in the back of my mind. And in 2003, Dr. Ravindranath called me. He is the one who's credited with starting transplant program, liver transplant program in this country on a large scale. He is the father of transplant surgery in this country. Then he said, Gokhale, I want to start heart transplant. You got trained. I know your passion. Why don't you come and join? 2003, October, I joined him. January, I went with my team to America, and I know in the back of my mind, there were only about 10 transplants done in the country at that time. And I know it's very difficult, but then, you have to follow your passion, and he is there helping me. And February 1st, we came back, our team. Second patient walked in. Fourth, a donor came in Nizam's. It's like a movie. And then I was at a party at that time, housewarming ceremony of a cardiologist. Then I got thinking, I can't swallow. I got prepared, but no one has done here. There are many big surgeons here in this state, all around, who never did this. And the moment I do, it is my die or live situation. If a patient dies, I am dead. That is the time when Dr. Ravindranath and fortunately my cardiologist shared this thing. They said, Gokhale, let's do this. I was 99% ready. They made it 100%. And we did. When I did the transplant, we went and brought it. Something else took over me. Next day morning, patient was alive, extubated. That's how the history was created in this state. And I say, looking back, the learning point here is dream, 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 follow your passion. It's going to happen as long as you stick your dream. That is my experience of the first heart transplant. And second thing is, getting in a metro, I never thought that we can ever do that. And that's the day when this big cricket matches. I'm not a fan of cricket, kindly excuse me. I do not know anything about it. That day when we had a donor at Kamineni, I'm at Apollo, the match is getting over at about 12:30 in the night. Police said, we cannot give you green channel. You cannot get the heart. The moment I remove the heart there and put it, I have to do it within 4 hours. Otherwise the heart dies, patient dies. So I don't know what to do, but we have to, this patient is sick, we have to make him survive. How can we do this? Just like that flash came into my mind, why can't we make use of a metro? Metro runs on its rails, no one can stop it, you don't need police, people cannot stop it. But then people discourage it, saying that getting a metro, it's impossible, it's a private one, you cannot do it. Who's going to get a stop all the trains, get a heart by metro? But then I had the support again. When I had the dream, I spoke to the CEO of Apollo. Then he said, you are asking too much of this, but let me try. He also did not believe it. But the right connections of the Apollo, the metro people, they said, yes, we'll stop all the trains in the midnight. We'll keep a train only for you from that end to this end. And that happened. Again, it is something, you believe it, you work on it, and you are going to see the result. So I tell all the entrepreneurs, many of these things will initially look like, this fellow is talking nonsense. Don't trust it. You pursue it, you don't leave it. With the perseverance, things can happen. This is a second classical example, how things happen. I never dreamt of it, but that time I know how to save my patient. What to do? All possible solutions. Then we start looking, new solution will come all the way from the universe, and it will make it happen. Just believe that. That's how the things happen. Thank you.
Wonderful. A round of applause for something that is unique, unheard of. This was the first time in the world, is yes. What I understand.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for enabling. And Dr. Ravindranath, thank you for being greatest pillar of support. So, Doctor, you have been in the UK for long. I mean, you have probably best of the practice that was happening there. Most wanted doctor, surgeon. And I was reading through that, you were in demand across Europe as well, not just in UK. So suddenly, one fine day, you decided, so this is it and I'm going back. And here you are, set up a large chain of hospitals, running a mega firm. What changed suddenly? I mean, what happened that you had to move back? What's the background?
Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for inviting me to be here, T-Hub and Matt. I used to be in King's College, London. That was my faculty position in liver transplantation way back in 1988 onwards, till 90. My father was a freedom fighter. He was very upset with me taking up a faculty position, and he said, we all went to jail to get a freedom, and my son wants to go and settle in and my son wants to be a slave to British. And he said that my soul will not rest in peace if you stay there. So I get a little emotional. So I requested my father, give me one more year, I'll come back. I promised him, because I'm from a small village. He had the vision to educate us, not only me and my younger brother, who is the chairman of Rainbow Children Hospital. And in fact, to bring him back, I set up the Rainbow Children Hospital and brought him back. He was also in Great Ormond Street, London, and King's College as well. And first I was 9 years chairman for the Rainbow and handed over to him. He made it a great institution. Today is the #1 institution in the country, 19 hospitals across India. And I started global before Rainbow. And one of the reasons, initially I worked in Apollo Hospital for some time. My dream was to bring liver transplantation to the country, because there was no legislation in the country to take organs from patients, brain death legislation. I ended up in India and I can't do, which is my core competence. Then, of course, laparoscopic surgery is another small area which I learned. No one was doing in India except one in Mumbai, Professor Vidwadia. then I started that. And I made a big name out of that. That is keyhole surgery today. And at that time, it was no doctor was willing to accept that as a procedure. And it, in fact, some of the senior surgeons called me, "You are a criminal, you're introducing a keyhole surgery. After opening the abdomen, we're finding it so difficult. How can you do with the keyhole? You're a criminal, this is not going to work in India." That's what they said. I said, fine, it works in other parts of the world, it works in India also. So we introduced that and made it big. While doing that, I lobbied for an organ transplant license or act. Several people helped me, Dr. Pratap Reddy and Professor Nandi in All India Institute, they all worked for it. In 1995, it is passed, then 4 states have to be passed, then finally, 1997, it became reality. At the time, I wanted to start the liver transplantation. So I didn't get the support what I wanted, so I quit and started Global Hospitals. Global Hospital is the first one multi-organ transplant hospital in the country, and everybody thought I'm going to go bankrupt because I sold everything and put it into the hospital. I go bankrupt because many large groups was not willing to start because there's no money in it. But believe me, I saw the need in the country, and we can do the procedure safely and give life to the people who are going to who are dying in front of our eyes. So it was a very one person who really helped me is Bharat Ratna Abdul Kalam. He's a great motivator, and he's the one who, as he said, dream, dream, dream. He used to tell us very frequently, come on, do it. You should do it. One of his friends, I sent him to London for a liver transplant. At that time he told, why can't we are sending rockets to space, why can't we do a liver transplant? So that's how he helped us in wherever it is needed. And we started liver transplantation in 2002. Today there are more than 100 liver transplant centers in the country, and India does perhaps the maximum number of liver transplants in the world in just 23 years. That is the kind of cascading effect it has given. And of course, after we made it liver transplant success, we started a cardiac transplant with Dr. Gokhale, and then we did a lung transplant. And these are all pioneering works. I think everybody thought it's not going to work in India, but today there are several centers doing heart and lung transplant especially. We did a big transplant program in Chennai hospital, and we started hospitals in Bangalore, Chennai, Bombay, everywhere, global hospitals. So that's the hospital journey. As a laparoscopic surgeon, I realized there's a keyhole surgery. You need to do you get a 2-dimensional view of inside on a monitor, and you need a hand-eye coordination. There is a lot of training required those days. So I set up an animal lab as well as the skill development lab in Apollo hospitals and started training. That is the first training center in the country. That's how I trained so many of the surgeons across the country and neighboring countries. It's a great privilege. I was in Nepal 2-3 days back. There were about 15 surgeons in Nepal I trained, and all of them came and touched my feet. That is a great feeling as a teacher. So this is the journey of mine in India. Of course, I've also, now recently I sold Global Hospitals, to be honest. Now my journey is in different way. One is I created a global innovation hub, very close to the T-Hub, mainly to do some innovations in healthcare. And this will become part of the university which I'm setting it up. It's called Global Innovation University in Health Sciences, Life Sciences, Technology under one roof. There is no undergraduate, post-graduation there. It will be PhDs, postdoctorals, and super specialties. It will be one of an aspirational university for future innovations. Unless, as Mohan Reddy Garu said, technology, healthcare, life sciences come together, future innovations are not going to happen in healthcare. And healthcare is one area which is not disrupted as much as other areas. Disruption is needed in healthcare so that we can democratize healthcare in India, and innovations have to happen in India. For India, then only cost will come down. And thanks to AI actually is going to actually make it happen. And I strongly believe that AI and new technologies, machine learning and quantum computing and genomics, all these things are going to disrupt the whole healthcare. And we need Indian data, unlike in the past. We'll talk about that later, so that we can create more products. Thank you.
Wonderful, Doctor. Thank you. You are so near. We are going to grab you more. So to T-Hub as well. And what a journey. What a journey. So since you brought up AI, so I'm going to go to Dr. Gokhale. Dr. Gokhale, especially in your cardiac surgery and various areas that you perform, I'm sure AI is entering the field, right? What are you seeing? I mean, what areas is AI touching, and how is it impacting your day-to-day operations, yours and your teams?
Yeah, actually, there is not a single area AI is not going to touch. One of the most important areas which can happen in the immediate future is in the training, education of the medical staff. For example, I say today, most of the surgeons, we all assist senior surgeons for years and decades, especially in the area of cardiac. No one becomes an independent surgeon for about 8 to 10 years after the qualification. So this is an area where I think I've been hearing about this word, this artificial atmosphere wherein the CT scans, the MRIs, the angiograms, everything is put in together. We do the surgery before we enter into the theater. That is my dream. Actually, I want to see that. So that people can do the surgery, go to the patient, so that we know when we go there, we do all the right things. That is what we do. So especially like training of ICU nurses, I find there is a lot of turnover. ICU nurses, time they learn. When I started surgery, there was no laparoscopic. I didn't know how to use a Carteret machine, the machine which stops the bleeding. From there, today we have got a Da Vinci robo, which is an excellent machine which helps us through small holes, magnifying things, taking stitches more appropriately, more perfectly. And I'm sure we are going to see things where probably when I'm going to closer to a blood vessel or to a nerve, it will tell me, give me a warning that, oh no, it is there, so stay away from that. So there are many areas, especially diagnostics, prevention of cardiac diseases. You know what all we do when we treat the people, most of this work I can see is helping the doctor in treating the patient. But I think we have to go away from that. All this requires a lot of database. There are areas where probably you work on prevention. When COVID happened, what happened? None of the countries can cope up with the patient load. No hospital could take it. People died on the roads. In America, Europe, everywhere. I think prevention is one area where we have to work. Our aim should be to keep a patient healthy, person healthy, not to treat him when he becomes diseased. So there are many areas like this, I think in all the fields, especially cardiac surgery, where AI is going to play a pivotal role.
Thank you, Doctor. I must add here that he has already engaged, he has spent time here, he has looked at various options to train nurses in ICUs. You can't get people to train in ICUs, and you're already looking at exploring some of the solutions. Thank you very much for that. Dr. Ravindranath, in fact, you operate a major hospital chain. There's so many areas from patient care to driving operational efficiency to actually managing day-to-day operations, right? It becomes very complex, and especially when it involves so many X factors, like for example, insurance, patient insurance has to be taken care of. Sometimes emergencies have to be done. So again, how is technology and specifically AI, is AI playing a role in the hospital operations space?
Yeah, I think AI has got a huge role, because hospital management is a very complex one. Not only it is patient experience, patient data, doctor-patient interaction. We have seen some of the startups going on. That area is still long way to go. What hospitals have done is majority of the automation in billing, revenue cycle management, and supply chain, those are the things are automated reasonably well. But patient care area, there is so much to do. Like preventive care, predictive analytics, and preventive diagnostics, genomics, so much of AI will come in future. That is what is going to drive the healthcare from sick care. Today what we are providing across the world is sick patient care to preventive care. I think that is the future. That is where a lot of disruption will come, cost will come down, healthcare expenditure for the common man or public will come down significantly. So this is a big area in healthcare. Right now what we are doing is majority of them are, yes, diagnostics and radiology imaging has improved significantly with AI. That is actually giving us a lot of comfort as a doctor, as a surgeon. We have a lot of data and images and properly processed images and 3D constructed images, which will help us to do a better surgeries and all. Some of the medtech things like defibrillators or pacemakers and some of the things which are helping us. But these are all smaller areas. The larger areas in healthcare where we have not still touched is the huge amount of work needs to happen in genomics, personalized medicine, precision medicine. That is another big area. Another area is, as you said, training of the doctors, augmented intelligence for improving the healthcare processes, whether it's doctor patient or nurse patient or technician patient. All these various workflows have to be automated using AI. All these things need data, a lot of good data. We don't have good data today in healthcare. EMR is something up till now, most of it is electronic. Medical records are not there. Most of it is hospital management system. More of it is a bed allocation, pharmacy management, and revenue cycle management. These kind of things only are there, or a discharge summary will be there. But proper electronic medical records in this country, there are very few hospitals. If you ask me honestly, one of the best is L.V. Prasad Eye Institute. Proper electronic medical records going on for several years. The data what they have is some of the best one. And now slowly most of the hospitals are getting into it. But there needs to be a lot of investment going in, and also electronic medical records needs to improve significantly. That is an area where AI-driven electronic medical records, that's the future. A lot of startups can do a lot of good work on that. Because in India, there are so many 50,000 hospitals, small or big. There's a big business there. And also, future, whatever AI models, we have to train on Indian data. If you train on the data outside and you bring it, it's not going to work. Indian data, no matter what synthetic data, what we talk, actual data, because AI-driven healthcare delivery has to help the doctor to deliver better. AI is not going to deliver healthcare. AI only augments as Mohan Reddy Garu said, AI augments the doctor, or some of the panelists said, AI augments the doctor to deliver healthcare better, safer, and cheaper. I think this is the very important thing. That's the reason why we need to train the models well, validate it well, and ensure that there are no hallucinations and all those things, then only your AI models will get adopted in the hospitals. One difficult business, if you have anywhere in the world, it is healthcare. That is one of the reasons is the multiple stakeholders, hospital management, insurance companies, they all want their pie. They all want their piece of cake. Doctor has to deliver the healthcare delivery to the patient, doesn't want any mortality. So highest level of results you need to produce. For all these things, you have to make sure that whatever AI products we create, they need to be validated and curated very well for healthcare. Otherwise, the data sets have to be very local data sets only you can train and make it really a good one. You cannot, on Caucasians, you cannot train the data sets and come and implement here. It's very, very important. Unfortunately, we don't have a great data sets in our country. That is the biggest challenge we are going to face.
Well said, Doctor. So I'm going to put a spotlight on that data issue that you brought up. Hospitals have a fiduciary responsibility of data. They have the patient data. But many times, in fact, AI requires data, as you rightly mentioned, but many times access to this data becomes a challenge. So while government has a responsibility, do you feel hospitals, the big ones especially, can come together, create large data sets? I mean, is that a possibility, Dr. Ravindranath?
Well, I think data, there has to be a unified approach to the data as a country. That's very, very important, especially healthcare data. Because data privacy is very important, as Mohan Reddy Garu said. Data privacy is very, very important. We cannot play with it as we like. Most of the hospitals chains or different private hospital chains, they all have their own personal agendas or their institution agendas. There has to be proper data organization in the country with the ground rules and portability, and also everybody can use the data. Anonymize the data and keep it as a data exchange or whatever it is, national data exchange or whatever it is. Something like that needs to happen. If it leaves it to only private hospitals to have their own data and run, I don't think that is a good idea for a nation like this with a 150 billion 1.5 billion population. We can't afford that, and data privacy is the biggest issue, and which is unfair, using personal data and abusing it especially. And the data is gold mine. Okay, there is a lot of money to make in data, which has to be passed on to all the stakeholders, including the patient, if there is the money making. So create a system like that legally and transparently. We need to create a system, and also technology should help using whatever technology is, blockchain or whatever is. You need to create a lot of data sets for youngsters or all the innovators to use it and build models. I think that is something very important in this country. We are only coming from regulatory. We are creating acts to data privacy. We are not creating the data for country to progress. And we need Indian data for training our models in India. So that is the biggest, in my view, that is going to be the biggest challenge we are going to go through in AI adoption in healthcare.
I know, respecting the time, so I'm going to go to Dr. Gokhale. This is going to be a rapid fire. 3 questions, Doctor, and whatever comes to your mind, please feel free. Next 5 years, what one change or 1 or 2 changes that you see is going to happen in healthcare, especially from a tech standpoint?
I think the way AI is being pushed by the government as well as the industry, I want to see a law saying that by so-and-so year, EMR is a compulsory for all the hospitals. That sets the tone. Because as Dr. Ravindranath said, without data, just dreaming will not help. I think all this will take decades, no doubt. Changes will take. They cannot happen overnight. But creating EMR is something which has to happen urgently in this country. And with the present mood, I'm sure the industry is pushing. I hope to see in the next 5 years that EMR is a compulsory in all the hospitals. How to exchange, all those things we can discuss later.
Got it. My second question you had already answered. In fact, I was talking about one or two good advices to the startups. You did mention about, continuously push the boundaries, keep at it. But leaving that aside, any two advices that you can share based on your experience to the startups here?
Yeah, I think, you see, you alone dreaming and working from your point will not help. You have to work with the customer. There are two customers we have. One is in preventive, you can probably go to the people directly through small kiosks, you have a diagnostic center, etc., saying that all this is not, you have to be confirmed by a doctor, so you get away from legal. But the second most important customer you are all working with is the medical professional and the organizations. Without working with them, you take some idea, you go to them, find out what is the most pressing problem. Some rare problem you don't have to worry, it will take years. But what is the most pressing problem where you can work and make a difference immediately to millions of people is something you have to work with the customer. Doctor, if you work on what is most pressing problem with them.
Lovely, thank you. And one final one policy change you want to see. I mean, anything that you feel that can probably improve our healthcare system.
Yeah, as I said, two things. One is make EMR compulsory, say 5 years from now. Second thing is, you have to educate medical professionals also. We are stuck reading volumes of books, breaking our head. Every time, we think that we know something, suddenly we find patient comes, we realize that there is so much we don't know. What we know is like ocean a drop in ocean. So I think subjects like AI, social skills, social responsibility, these things have to be a part and parcel of the education system from LKG. Forget about Aurangzeb, forget about America, forget about finances, you can learn them later. But these things should become part and parcel of every human being. Then only we'll see a bright future.
Thank you, wonderful. Yes, you can be generous, please.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, doctor, the questions are leaked, so I am repeating the same set of questions. One technology change that you're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years that's going to transform the healthcare industry. Any thought?
Well, I think, as I said, remote care using wearables and AI, along with that is something which is going to be very important. I think it is doable. It will disrupt the last mile. The large population is there. Even Mohan Reddy touched on that. Large population is there. In our country, that is very, very important. Along with that, the genomics and with the computing power is increasing significantly. The genomics producing terabytes of information, which is going to be one of the very important things, and gut biome. These are the three things which will change the healthcare delivery, because we'll have a predictive analytics and preventive care will become much stronger. That's how healthcare burden on the country will come down, not only in India, rest of the world also. There's a lot of work going on in this area. That is where AI is going to play a very important role. And I'm sure quantum is going to play an important role. All these things are going to change the way it's going to work in the next 5 years. And I just heard that quantum is going to be a reality in the next 2-3 years. So that's something where terabytes of information can be analyzed, and that's the way going forward, and that will help pharmacogenomics and making personalized medicines and precision medicines. So we don't have to use the medicines what is tried and what is tested in Caucasians. We don't have to replicate that. What works for Indians will be used, what works for Caucasians will be used. What doses works also. Today in transplantation, and quickly I'll tell you one example. When we started liver transplantation, we were using a dosage of King's College protocol. We borrowed and used it for a liver transplant. We started seeing a lot of patients getting infections. We realized our patients require less dose of immunosuppression. After 3 patients, we struggled and got it right. And 4th patient onwards, we never had a problem. This is a trial and error. Whereas if you have a precision medicine and we know exactly what dose a particular patient requires, I'm sure in 5 years or 10 years down the line, you can upload your genomic chip. You will get your personalized medicine, what medicine works for you, and what dose works for you. I think that is the way healthcare is going forward.
Wow, amazing. So, some advice to the startups from your experience?
Yeah, we are actually incubating our 6 or 7 startups and also another 6 or 7 companies, portfolio companies, all in healthcare. We invested and helping them also in our Global Innovation Hub, just about 5 minutes from here. Our plan is to replicate this in the university, where it will be a large ecosystem there. We'll have a 1,000-bed hospital and life sciences courses, and so we'll have a subject matter specialist, technologists, and pharma, biotech people, so that all of us can work in solving the problems of healthcare and life sciences using technology. That is the future. We are working in that direction. We're happy to work with all of you. Any one of you wants our guidance, or we have a large group of hospitals to give you a subject matter specialist and support you. I think that's where we can help you. And one thing, product fitment to the problem is very, very important. If you don't have a product, you may build a fantastic product, it is not fitting into the healthcare, it's not helping the patient, it's not helping the doctor, it's not going to work. Please remember, that's why Dr. Gokhale also said, you need to work with people who have problems. You need to solve the problems of healthcare. Then you will make money. And you can build unicorns or whatever it is. I think problem solving, how do you get, unless you interact with the doctors and see what their pain points, you address that. Not only the hospitals, not only the doctors, patients, hospitals. So there are 3 of them. Each one you can address. I know in US, even insurance companies use a lot of AI to see which doctor has got more complications, so that they say if this patient goes to this doctor or with this hospital, there's more complication, more cost. So they are actually diverting the patient to different hospitals. That is the kind of AI they are using into predicting outcomes and cost. So I think that's very, very important. All of you should solve the problem. Your product, whatever you have great ideas, it should fit into the needs of the healthcare. That is fundamental, and you need to work with subject matter specialists. You should have open mind in modifying it if necessary, depending upon the changes happens in healthcare. This is something very important in healthcare. I would say startups in healthcare is the most difficult ones, unlike in fintech or any other things. Because here, doctors, as you said rightly, doctors are not literate in technology. As Mohan Reddy also said that America, there's 70% are engineering background coming to the medicine. Here, we come straight from intermediate to medicine. We hardly know engineering or anything. So, it's very important. There has to be education of doctors, nurses, technicians in the hospital, including management, on technology, how it helps, how it is going to disrupt, and how we want to reduce the cost and improve the outcomes. This is very, very important. All your problems need to solve these things. And also, I saw some of the products which reduces the doctors' time wasting on various paperwork and other things. That's very good. It's already happening. Doctor, more time he spends. If patient comes, actually we are working on something. The patient, before the patient comes into the hospital, most of the data is there. It's all curated, and doctor gets the gist of the whole thing. So he need not waste his time, and he can see more patients, or also each patient he can spend more time. These kind of things definitely, and also using computer vision, all these new technologies, we'll be able to train the nurses and doctors very well. We are actually created an augmented intelligence platform for healthcare workers, both nurses, technicians, surgeons, junior doctors and surgeons. It also prevents the errors because it sits on the EMR and works, use all the data and computer vision of patient-doctor interaction, everything it captures. And also it bakes in hospital protocols and then give a guidance to the junior doctor or a nurse. You know, in the United States, second commonest cause of death in the hospital is human error. United States spends billions and billions of dollars on human errors, both legal litigations or helping the patient to recover. Most of it happens in emergency, in the night when senior doctors are not there, when junior doctors, junior nurses are handling it. A lot of complications happen. This kind of products, I'm sure, not only us, many products will come. I'm sure some of you can make it. Will definitely help the junior doctors, nurses, because it will alert them. This, as per the protocol, you are not doing this. Like that, and also it can help them to talk to the senior doctor. All those things will come. And also, one advantage is there is a trail so that they don't repeat the mistakes again, even if the once happens. These are all some of the things. And this also helps as a tool for training of these people to the next level of efficiency. I think there are many things can be done with AI to improve the healthcare, safety of healthcare, reducing the cost, and also seeing smile in the patient's face.
What a wonderful advice, and I'm sure you would have picked some of the use cases that you have spoken where there is an opportunity. One big round of applause. I've come to an end of my discussion, or rather my set of questions. I can go on, but we have to have our dinner as well, Doctor. So thank you for being very, kind, for sparing your time. Thank you very much for both of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gokhale and Dr. Ravindranath. Your journey is truly a testament to the entrepreneurial spirit that you have. We say startup founders are risk takers, and your journey just now that you've detailed has shown that you are true entrepreneurs at heart. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Sujit, for moderating this session so beautifully. I would like to request BVR Mohan Garu onto the stage. Jay Chaudhary Garu, Rahul Path, Srinivas Taluka Garu onto the stage to felicitate our dignitaries. And Funny Garu as well. Now we bring this incredible day of knowledge sharing, collaboration, and innovation to a close. I now invite Mr. Srinivas Taluka, Vice President for Facilities T-Hub, to deliver the closing note for the AI Healthcare Summit 2025.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Srinidhi, for inviting me to propose the vote of thanks. I always see a challenge in proposing vote of thanks because by the time I come onto the stage, half of the hall is empty, and the second, people are busy networking. So I'll keep my description very short. Without thanking our visionary leader, Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, it is not enough, because his visionary, his guidance is helping us today where we are. So T-Hub has completed 9+ years, and we have achieved a lot, and we are going ahead for many more milestones. Thanks to our visionary leader, Mr. BVR Mohan Reddy Garu, for sparing his valuable time with us out of your busy schedule, sir. Thanks a lot. We also would like to thank our Principal Secretary, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, sir. In spite of his busy schedule, he has 3 different events today, but he took time, and that shows that his support and guidance to T-Hub. So we also would like to thank Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. And the special invitee for today is Mr. J. Chaudhary Garu. So, sir, thank you very much for being with us today. And your valuable speech also given us a lot of inputs to us. Thank you so much. And then I would also like to thank our IAS officer, Mr. Bhavesh Mishra, who presented us out of his busy schedule. So thanks to Bhavesh Garu. And we also would like to thank Dr. Gopal Krishna Garu. Sir, thank you very much for joining us here. Then Dr. Rabindranath Garu for joining us and giving his valuable inputs on the panel. Then we also thank our sponsors who made this event possible. So thank you all the sponsors wherever you are. Thank you very much. And then we also thank our pitch game participants who actively participated in our pitch game event. So we would like to thank and appreciate all the winners as well. So thank you very much. And at the last, I would like to thank Math team for bringing this wonderful concept together. And would like to thank our T-Hub team, the friends who made this event possible. And one last thing, without them, it is incomplete if I don't appreciate my own team. Thanks to my colleagues Raghavendra, Pandu, Chaitanya from the facilities team, in fact Pooja, and all others who worked hard to make this event success. Finally, thanks to Srinidhi for being wonderful host for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Taluka Garu, so much. We now invite all of you to continue these discussions, forge new collaborations, and celebrate this milestone together. There's an exclusive networking dinner that's happening, that's going to start, and please join our leaders, our attendees today, and continue your conversation while having dinner. Also, I would like to invite all the Maths team and T-Hub team here today onto the stage for a group picture. I request Maths team, T-Hub team onto the stage for a group picture. Come. Oh. Expecting you on the stage for a group picture. Where is he? Oh. Facilities team to the dais. Aditya, Sai Chandra, Renault, Meghna, And all the T-Hub team members who are present here for this momentous occasion, please come onto the stage.
Thanks.